Is justice really blind? Or do we live in a two-tiered justice system that judges its citizens based upon their gender rather than a crime they have committed? What is the penalty for a female teacher who has intimate relationships with her students? In America, most school districts have eliminated their sexual education classes as being too obtrusive into the lives of their young adults. These classes were meant to prepare students for the eventuality of having sex, but there was no eventuality for them having sex with their own teacher. Tonight, on Predator 101, we discuss a justice system based upon gender. In tonight's episode, The Threesome. How two teachers slept with one student. Typically in the Predator 101 series, we feature teachers who, if you say, go after their underage male students to have what is referred to as an intimate relationship. The only change in this episode is that we will feature a mother who is not a teacher, but still chose to have a serious sexual relationship with a 14 and 15-year-old boy, if you can believe it. We present for you now the story of Miss Brooke Lahenas, a 38-year-old married mother of two from Ann Arbor, Michigan. The boys Brooke groomed were clearly underage when Lahenas lured them in with naked pictures of herself on Snapchat. That's right, I said Snapchat. This form of phishing for minors on social media sites was Brooke's modus operandi for reeling in her next victims, similar to the way men are accused of the exact same crime. And after securing an in-person meetup time, Brooke would leave her husband and children at her home and conveniently show up at these boys' parents' house for late-night sexual tryst in the backseat of her car. When she couldn't do that in the particular boy's driveway, she would do it somewhere else. Sex with these underage victims would occur under the noses of their parents in the driveway, as I said before, of their home, on the side of some secluded road around the time of dusk. The child victims who were seduced on social media were members of her fan club. What fan club, you might ask? A fan club for the hairdressing parlor she worked at, such as the number of young people who followed her on Snapchat and on the site Instagram. So apparently you can get people following you even today for hairdressing. The first victim, age 14, was tricked through social media with provocative photos, culminating in the backseat of her car. Now, this happened several times with the 15-year-old, another boy, whose story was pretty much the same. So she was going for boys 14 and 15 years of age. In total, she repeated this behavior about 17 times, all under the same conditions: in the backseat of her car, at dawn, and on the side of a road. The mother of one of the youths was the one who filed a complaint with the police, and therefore they arrested Lahenas and took her to jail. But prior to her trial, Brooke had been given parole in exchange for $50,000 with one of the restrictions that she could not go near public schools, drink alcohol, or use drugs. She was also inhibited from using social media platforms with the intention of grooming other young men. Now, we have to warn a lady of that age to watch out from grooming other young men. Brooke faced 15 counts of sexual abuse in court, with her sentence ranging from 15 to 19 years in prison. 15 to 19 years. Her husband, who has been married to her for 16 years, was always present during the trial, strongly supporting his wife, although she betrayed him on multiple occasions. When questioned by Michigan State Police, Detective Brooks had this to say about her sexual relationship with the students. She explained that sex with the victim was not something she wanted to do. Mind you, it was not something that she wanted to do. But she was helping them. When asked to explain how she was helping them, she had a hard time explaining, but stated she was helping him release his whatever that would be. Now, while Lahenas was charged with sex with two teen boys, she was also cheating with yet a third unidentified male who may have been an adult, but was also engaged on her Snapchat account. So remember, her husband's still supporting her. She's sleeping with 2 young boys and a separate guy that he knows nothing about. Now, Goldstein, her lawyer, said Lajenas was aware of her behavior was wrong, but pointing out that a mental health doctor said the woman wasn't a predator, and that with that kind of therapy would likely never commit a similar crime again. So, in her defense, he was saying that if she sought a therapist, that therapist could prevent her from doing that again. And the judge agreed that the behavior was inappropriate, but decided to sentence Lajenas at the low end of the state guidelines, in part because he said of her mental health issues and because she doesn't have a criminal past. So you must have a criminal past if you're going to go to jail for a long time. The judge noted that there are significant psychological issues that are an extent that obviously contribute to and cause the behavior in this case, he said. I don't agree with that. If she constantly kept doing it, you need a psychology for that. Now, Lajenas pleaded guilty to third-degree criminal sexual conduct for oral sex with a 15-year-old, 2 counts of third-degree criminal sexual conduct for intercourse with a 14-year-old, and 1 count of accosting a child for immoral purposes, and 1 count of furnishing obscenity to children for sending nude photographs of herself to a minor. Don't need counseling for that. Here's a brief excerpt of Brooks' sentencing hearing.
But I am going to clarify that counts 1, 8, and 9 are for 2 different minor victims. I'm just going to clarify that count 1 is for a 15-year-old minor victim, and counts 8 and 9 would be for a 14-year-old minor victim.
Okay. Ms. Lajenas, raise your right hand. You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Counts 1, 8, and 9 are all criminal sexual conduct, third degree, person 13 to 15. Maximum penalty is 15 years and results in mandatory AIDS or STD testing. DNA is to be taken upon arrest. Count 14. Accosting a child less than 16 with the intent to commit a moral act is a 4-year felony and or $4,000. And count 15 of furnishing obscenities to a minor is 90-day or $500 misdemeanor. How do you wish to plead to counts 1, 8, 9, 14, and 15?
Did you engage in sexual penetration with a 15-year-old minor male?
Yes.
And by sexual penetration, did you have oral, penile penetration with that male? Relative to a separate male during that time frame, did you engage in sexual penetration on at least 2 occasions with a 14-year-old male? And that sexual penetration, on at least those 2 occasions, include penile vaginal intercourse between you and that 14-year-old. And prior to those acts of sexual penetration, did you solicit a child less than the age of 16 years old to have sex with you? Well, let me ask you this. Did you send obscene pictures or nude photos of yourself to a minor who was under the age of 18? And when you did that, did you also send messages and entice or solicit that child who was less than 16 years of age to submit to sexual intercourse with yourself?
Sexual contact, some type of sexual act. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. The people are satisfied.
All right, I'm satisfied.
Now, as part of the plea agreement, 10 other counts of third-degree criminal sexual conduct with a person between the ages of 13 and 15 years of age were dismissed. Brooke admitted having sex with the 14-year-old between 8 and 15 times, ladies and gentlemen. 8 to 15 times. Brooke was ultimately sentenced to just 4 years and 9 months in prison on several counts of criminal sexual conduct in Washtenaw County. That's absolutely amazing. Only 4 years. So the mother of then 14-year-old victim who alerted police to the incident addressed the court in an impact statement that she wrote, which was read alternately aloud by a victim advocate. And it reads as follows. And out of all of this mess, the mother of the victim had the greatest statement. She says, "You made a conscious effort on several occasions to make arrangements to meet my son. Sneak out of your house, start your car, leave your husband and children at home and drive to my son's house, back into the driveway between midnight and 4 a.m. Wait for my son to run to the driveway, commit a crime, and leave." She asked her, "Did you know that this was wrong? Did you ever worry about harm you were doing to my son?" So out of all this insanity, she made sense. She goes on to say that her son has suffered significant psychological and emotional damage and is in therapy now. She went on to continue, "Your actions will affect my son and his relationship with others for the remainder of his life." So something she thought was only a momentary fun will affect this kid for the rest of his life.
You're watching MNN, the Men's Channel.
Continuing on, she said, "The guys at school pick on him and say it's cool that he had sex with a mom. My son shared with me that the guys at school, I have no idea what he's been doing, though, and how he struggles. He has had to stay strong in front of them." And we get this a lot on this particular program. You have a lot of grown men with sick minds that suggest that these guys were lucky to have sex with these grown women. Now, the woman asked that Laginas be treated just like men who sexually assault girls. But Miss Lagina's attorney, David Goldstein, disputed, and he said this: "To say this should be treated exactly the same if she were a man dealing with young girls is not true," he said. He says, "I think society recognizes that men and women deal with sex and sexuality much differently, both as adults and as children." He says, "I think the court will be able to discern that differences in passing sentence. But to me, there is no difference." What do you think? Do you believe that 4 years in prison is an adequate sentence for what that particular woman did to those boys? Do you believe that there should be a double standard system for punishing women and men for the same crime? For Predator 101, this is Charles. We hope to see you again next time.
It's okay.